Welcome back, guys. Today we are here with the new premium tier 8 British battleship, the Prince of Wales. Now, if you've seen the patch notes, the Prince of Wales will be the next Blitz Pass ship in May, so it will be available for no matter what it is, it's a tier 8 premium for a good price. So, yeah. Um, so that out of the way, let's look into what the Prince of Wales offers. Obviously, a very historical ship. Very significant ship as well. It's also just like a long time waited ship, finishing out the key, this is more KGV class battleships in the game. And yeah. So with that being said, let's talk about the Prince of Wales and why it is a ship full of gimmicks. Like this is probably one of the most gimmicked ships I've ever seen in this game. Um so with that being said, let's get to the comparison tool. There's a lot, and I mean a lot of British battleships to compare it with at tier 8. Um, as a matter of fact, I should compare it to the Tech Tree equivalent, which is the Monarch. I won't compare it to the Hawk because the Hawk's a bit too different from the Prince of Wales. The Monarch's a bit closer with its gun caliber. So first thing you notice is like just off the bat, there is just a lot going on with the skills. We have Rapid Reload 2 on the Prince of Wales, so that's a 30% reload buff, which is a very good rapid reload. DFA 2, Crawling Smoke. Now, this is, to clarify, this is not the Crawling Smoke of the Commonwealth Cruisers. The Commonwealth Cruisers have a separate Crawling Smoke labeled as Crawling Smoke level 1 and 2. This is normal Crawling Smoke from the Vampire to the Huron. So these are the ones that get to go half speed, or you can't take with you at full speed. So also, however, it also won't lower your speed when you're using it like the Commonwealth Cruiser Smoke. So that's also another difference that there will be in. However, it's still Crawling Smoke, so you can still go, half to like 3/4 speed with it. Actually, because the ship is, well, you'll see what the ship speed is, but you can actually like stay at a 3/4 speed and actually stay stealth. So it's a 40-second duration. Like I said, Crawling Smokes are very long lasting smokes. They have big puffs of smoke per puff, compared to like a fuel smoke. And however, on the Vampire Smokes here, so I'm gonna call it the Vampire 2 Smokes. That's what it is. They have a very long cooldown, so 120 seconds. That's 2 minutes of just pure durate, like just pure cooldown. So you have two of them. So the first battleship to have crawling smoke, and you have heavy repair teams. So the heals from the Saint Vincent line is what you have. So you can only take two, but they're very very good super heals. So that's kind of like the gimmicks of this ship. Is like you have rapid reload 2, you have a crawling smoke, and you have super heals. Something we have never seen in a battleship all at once. Moving on to the armor. It's nothing to write home about. The armor is pretty lackluster. I know the damage values here show the it might be better than Monarchs. Uh, Armor value wise, the ship effectively is as armored as a Monarch. um, you actually have worse fire and flood resistance and a worse torpedo damage reduction than Monarch. Your KGV at tier 8, which Monarch is just also a KGV at tier 8 with like, yeah, basically. So armor wise, you're not standing off in battleships. You're very vulnerable when you're out of your smokes, and you also don't have a lot of HP. 46k, it's nothing special. It's not the lowest at tier 8, but it's nothing special either. So just keep in mind that you're a very easy target to get shot at, and you're not like a tanky battleship in the sense that you have armor. Maneuverability wise, it's pretty similar to Monarch. You're a little faster by like about a knot. Better max traverse speed is acceleration and turn time are not too far off from Monarch. So basically, Monarch maneuverability, which isn't a bad thing. Monarch is if it is a relatively maneuver battleship for tier 8. It's above average, I would say. It's not like crazily above average like the Hawk, but I would say it's about above average. Um, Guns. See, this is where things get interesting because you are a KGV at tier 8. Now, if anybody doesn't know about KGV, KGV at tier 7 is, well, KGV at tier 7 is not that good. All of the KGV class, KGV and Duke of York. Well, I should say all because Yukon exists. I won't say all. Yukon's actually not that bad, but you know, KGV and Duke York, they're not really that good of battleships at tier 7. They're on the lower end of the British battleships and just battleships in general at tier 7. Their guns aren't the most precise. They kind of rely on HE to do damage because the AP pen is just you don't the AP pen ain't there yet, and you don't have enough guns to make up for that. Um, the range isn't crazy. The shell velocity of British battleships isn't crazy. So yeah, Prince of Wales has those guns on paper, but it kind of flips it on its head. So now you have a 17.5-second base reload. So we're talking like crazy base reload for battleships, even like across all tiers. Not many have this kind of reload. On 356s. And you maintain the same gun layout. The gun damage is effectively the same or similar. I don't think it's the same, but I think it's similar. Actually, let me compare it to the KGV just so you can see the actual damage difference between the guns. Yeah, you can see that you do more AP damage, about 100 more AP damage, but you do less HE damage, and you have a significantly worse fire chance. So HE spamming in Prince of Wales, you don't really want to shoot HE in Prince of Wales. You're gonna be mostly an AP ship. The HE isn't bad against destroyers, but you're gonna be a mostly AP ship. You do get some more gun range in comparison to the King George V. However, something that you can't see here that the ship actually has a massive differences is the penetration of the guns and the ballistics of the guns. Now, one thing that the British battleships, the main line, at least the Conqueror line, kind of suffer in is the gun ballistics department. Their shell velocity is obscenely slow. um, they don't have the craziest dispersion values. Um, they don't have like the flattest arcs either. Well, bar the low tiers. The low tiers have incredibly flat arcs, but like the higher like Conqueror and stuff, they don't have like the flattest arcs either. They're just kind of they're just good DPM ships, but they're not like outstanding gun like individually gun wise. Prince of Wales again kind of flips it on its head, where the gun ballistics they're actually much flatter. They're also like not British battleship shell velocity. They're like pretty good shell velocity on the guns. You'll see what I mean in the gameplay. So the shell velocity is actually like pretty spectacular for what you're used to in a British battleship. And the penetration with just normal, not even AP Camo, not APCS plus, just normal APCS is very, very adequate. Very nice. Um, yeah. So the guns, they feel nice. Very, very nice guns. They feel comfy to use, especially since you're now tier 8. Unlike KGV, you can have access to the dispersion mod, which really helps your guns out. So yeah, no, Prince of Wales, the guns are excellent on this ship compared to what you were working with at least. Secondaries, they're not that different. They do a little more damage. They do have more range, so I guess there's that. But don't worry about the secondaries. They're still British secondaries. They don't even have a good fire chance. So they still kind of suck. AA, I mean, if you want to call it an upgrade from what you had in KGV, you can. You have DFA too, which does boost the damage by double. So you have about 500 large caliber, 440, no 460 small caliber. You can kind of forget about your AA. You would have needed amazing AA range to actually consider this good AA. You're now at tier 8. You can fight Indomitables. Yeah, good luck. DCP does not care about your AA. If you face a tier 9 CV, well then your AA is even more relevant. Like, S6 just got buffed. If S6 is dropping you, forget about it. So yeah, no, your AA with DFA 2 even. You might get a clear skies every once in a while against some of the, some of the weaker CVs at tier 8, plain HP wise, but you won't be saving yourself in CV. Concealment, this is another very significant change from KGV. You have substantially better base concealment than KGV, below 10 kilometers base, which is excellent. You're entering cruiser concealment at this point. I mean, British battleships are already known to have good concealment on their ships, on the battleships at least. Even like the Conqueror line has actually not too bad of concealment. Prince of Wales is like on the even more extreme end, where you're talking closer to the battle cruisers in concealment here. You're not quite at the Hawk, but you're not too far off either. So, yeah, that's the concealment of the ship. So yeah, it's a lot for Prince of Wales. It's a lot of stuff going on the ship. Um, However, it actually ends up not being too bad, the combination of all these gimmicks, and the significant change up from the KGV to make it more competitive at tier 8. So let's talk about the build here. Elite bonus, I'm taking improved main armor belt. The only benefit of this one is really the HP, but honestly, 1% HP. I'd rather just take less damage from the damage reduction. The Citadel protection is kind of like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. But the damage reduction is actually nice. That's just a flat damage reduction buff. Well, I should say flat because it's a multiplicative, so you have to add the 5% to the, the 15%. But in any case, I think the damage reduction is a little more useful than the 1% HP. And obviously, the torque damage reduction sucks on this ship. The fire flood resistance sucks on this ship, so you kind of forget about it. Camo wise, we do have the historical camo, like the actual historical camo of the Prince of Wales. Like when it says historical camo, this isn't like some fluke of historical camo. It's the actual one, close to the actual one that was there historically speaking. It actually looks pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. It's a nice blue color. Pattern with some hints of maybe some charcoal gray. But it's the worst camo. You already know the business with some of these Blitz Pass ships is that their camos of the historical sometimes tend to be worse than the better one, the special one. So this gives, HP gun range, AA range, which you don't really need AA range. It's not good already. Your AA isn't good enough. Secondary range, you don't really need secondary range. Your secondaries aren't that crazy. Now the camo called Gold Save the King. Okay, interesting naming. Ship HP, gun range still, main battery dispersion, torque damage reduction. Now, torque damage reduction you can forget about. Main battery dispersion, that is what we are here for in battleships. So yeah, this is the better camo. It doesn't look too bad either. There's far worse looking special camos in this game. But it's also not like the best looking special camo either. I still think the Stork 43 special camo was much better looking than this one's, but in any case, it's a solid looking camo. As obviously, well, gold is the kind of the main color here. And that is the one I'll be using in the recording. Supplies, I'm taking high grade coal, HP, and refined diesel. Equipment, standard battleship equipment. Dispersion, acceleration, concealment, and dispersion especially are the two key factors here because dispersion really gives you even tighter dispersion compared to KGV, and concealment is just amazing for the ship with the base concealment. It gets your concealment down to 8.96, which is a fantastic set of concealment. We can get really close to some cruisers. Commander-wise, now, if you haven't noticed already, the commander is going to be a bit of a situation on this ship because you have a bit of a dilemma with this ship. The ship has super heals. Now, normally on a super healing ship, you would take the improved heals. The problem is, Prince of Wales has rapid reload too, and only has 2 of them base. So you kind of also want to build into your DPM, which is what you would normally do with the rapid reload ship. Especially on a battleship. So you're kind of in this, problem where what do you want to take healing or do you want to take extra rapid reload? The second problem with this commander build is is level 8, where Mistweaver, again, if you have a long lasting smoke like this on like a normal, not fuel smoke, but normal smokes, crawling smokes, you usually take the Mistweaver. The problem is, this is still a battleship, so having Adrenaline Rush would also be equally fair, especially if you're talking about AR+. So those are like the two main conflicting issues with the commander. Otherwise, everything else stays the same no matter what happens. But yeah, those are the two main conflicting issues, and I'm gonna talk about that with 2 separate builds that I use in 2 different games, so you can see the difference. So Underwater Protection Expert, Torpedo Alert Plus. This is BD, by the way. Honestly, you could use Nelson and have the same effect, but I'm using BD right now because he's the best one for the survival build I'm gonna be using here. So, Artillery Maintenance Expert, Sixth Sense, Survivalist Plus, Generalist, Fully Prepared, Mistweaver Plus, Dead Expert Plus, Master Reloader Plus, APCS, and because it's BD for the lows, I took Strike, but honestly, I don't think it really matters. If you have a level 15 BD, which I think a lot of people actually do, because Minotaur and the British cruisers are a very played set of cruisers. Or some people have played them a lot if they have played them, so I actually don't remember why I took Specialist. I think it's Specialist because I wanted to see if I could get a 3rd smoke going in this ship, but it never happened, so you can honestly just take Armor Piercer. So yeah, just go down the green tree build for DPM. You could also go down for last stand if you're really feeling like you can survive at a low HP and want to make yourself even tankier. But I think this is the safest build possible. So yeah, this is kind of like the safe heal build. You will survive very long with this build. Survivalist, Mistweaver plus, Sixth Sense. This is just survival skills. You can also do this with Jellicoe if you wanted, with the Fully Prepared plus, so even better longevity in the game. And Prince of Wales can, survive a game very long if you just, go through some heals, some crawling smokes. That's a lot of downtime to kill you. So, yeah, that is the first commander build. The second one that we will be using, let me find him. Here he is, Horatio Nelson. This is the greed build, I should say. The build if you want to have a bit more DPM and you don't really care about surviving that much in this ship. It's essentially the same thing, except now you're taking Battle Signal with Nelson. You don't have Success, so you have Victoria Charge Plus. Honestly, I value it more than the DFA of this ship. A key change is Fire Supremacy over Survivalist, because you want to get a third rapid reload to build for more DPM. And the next key change is going to be AR Plus, because 10% reload on 17.5-second base reload, like you're talking about almost, we're getting to cruiser levels of gun reload right now when you build for everything. So, I just took this because we don't have Sit Strike, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I think I made the same mistake with this. But yeah, this is kind of the greed build. Those are the two main changes: AR plus, Fire Supremacy. Just kind of to get greedy with your damage if you want to play a ship like that. Which again, the ship can do that. The ship has rapid reload 2s. It has good base reload. The guns are pretty solid on this ship, so you can definitely build for that if you want. So it's really gonna come down to, I almost want to say, personal preference of what you want in the ship. Personally, I'll probably go down if I get the ship. I'll personally probably try to go down the surviving side of things. Just play it safe, especially at tier 8. Tier 8 is such a horrific tier for dealing with the stuff that you have to, the Atlanticos, the DZPs, the Indoms, all the CVs, basically. There's just a lot of stuff happening, so, playing for your health is also very viable at tier 8, but this is another build if you want. If you really feel like trying to go for some world record damage, or some crazy average damage, so, yeah. That's what Nelson. So yeah, that is battle honors. So whenever we get battle honors, 2 battleships in a battle. That's not too bad. Tier 8 has a lot of battleships, so yeah. That is Prince of Wales. Yeah, let's get into the battles. And here we have the first game. The first game is gonna be on Fire's Lantern. As you can see, there are just a ton of battleships. Welcome to Tier 8. Battleships are galore. So this first game, I will be showcasing off the tank. I say tank because you're surviving via health, not really armor. Tank build on the Prince of Wales. And we spawn seaside, so we're gonna push seaside. I mean, I honestly don't think it really matters where you go in this situation because, bro, there's battleships literally everywhere. It's just gonna depend on where the battleships go. We have a Francesco Ferruccio on our side. We have Mahan. We actually have DDs and they don't, so we do have a spotting advantage over them. So that is good. No CV obviously present. It's not so fun playing this ship against CVs. I don't think I need to explain why. Um. So yeah, we're just gonna push it to C. We go 29 ounces of supplies, or actually no, we have no speed supplies, so we don't go 29 ounces. So yeah, we would probably be going 30 with supplies, but we're not taking the speed supplies obviously. So yeah, only 2 rapid reloads. It is a bit unfortunate that you have in this build you can only take 2 rapid reloads. It would be nice to have that third. I could see the sentiment for having the third. You could also have alternatively a combined build of the 2 where you take an extra rapid reload, but you take still take Mistweaver, or you take extra healing, but you take AR plus. So you can kind of mix and match, I guess. I'm just doing the 2 obvious builds, and you kind of go from there. Because I'm not gonna show a case off 4 different builds on the ship. That'd be probably 4 different games. I don't want the video to drag out too crazy on just the ship. But in any case, just roll your dice, nice. There's a Vladivostok here. You can see just your concealment is excellent. We're able to push in pretty deep into this Vladivostok. Start using our crawling smoke. You gotta see what you can see what I mean by the shove velocity. The shove velocity is nowhere near as bad as KGV's. It's actually like pretty good shove. Well, I shouldn't say pretty good. It's pretty nice shove velocity compared to what you normally have. Also, HE Vladivostok, kind of interesting. I see an Ignacio Allende. We're gonna start shooting our main guns. He's just sitting kind of flat broadside. Shells landing a little short, probably on my part. Decent damage, not too bad. We're just sitting in smoke, you know. I mean, we're not really getting focused by the Vladdy. Not that he's really shooting the right ammo type, anyways. So yeah, we're just able to set smoke here. And we're just gonna run out soon. Dodge these torps real quick. The one thing that is kind of sad still about this ship is the gun angles, like the firing angles. They're not that good. These quad turrets kind of make the gun angles really clunky to use. So that's just something to keep in mind. So we're gonna use a reverse rapid reload. We're getting some okay damage to Vladdy. I mean, Vladivostok is a very tanky battleship, so I wouldn't expect like, the craziest salvos against Vladivostok in this thing. You can see the dispersion is very nice on this ship. Very, very nice dispersion. And yeah, even against Vladivostok, the pen is not too bad. I wouldn't call it crazy. There's definitely better pen battleships for, you know, against Vladivostok. But, you know, for the 356s, they're not doing too bad. Since we don't have AR, I'm just going to heal early. Because, like, what's the point of holding a heal if we're not going to AR? That was actually a nice salvo, I won't lie. Work some modules. Yeah, the dispersion did 10 out of 10, so... Well, literally 10 out of 10 shells. So, yeah. So you can just see the gun performance against Vladivostok here. He's gonna run his torps. Just, not at this point, but a little earlier, I realized that everybody was sitting in mid. So I was like, okay, well, we gotta push up on this side then. To push our advantage, the fact that there's nobody here to stop us. This Vladivostok gets, dumpstered on by Mahan torps. Yeah. I don't even think my one turret kills us. I think Mahan just kills him straight up. Yeah, he does. But now we have an Ignacio Allende to deal with. Luckily, our team's holding up surprisingly well against those guys up north. Like, they may not live, but they've lived long enough that, like, we can actually, like, start returning to the battle. Yeah, Nagato was there. So we're gonna start shooting this Ignacio Allende. Again, the shell speed is so much nicer. Double Citadel, that's a nice salvo from the Prince of Wales. I'm holding my rapid reload because I don't want to waste it on a half HP cruiser. I want to save it for a battleship so we have more DPM. And well, speaking of battleships, there's an Odin. Obviously, we don't want to really brawl an Odin. Odin is an excellent brawler. Even with rapid reload, we won't really out DPM an Odin if he has torps especially involved. So we're gonna smoke up, save our heal here. Maybe get him to overextend since he thought we might have been low. Start using our guns. Nice AP, Citadel. Yeah, you can just see the DPM when you can actually start getting close. The DPM does get kind of nutty, especially once you get rapid reload going, as we will here. And yeah, no, just some nice salvos into this guy. And you know, it is a joy to play mid to close range this ship. It really does thrive in those situations where you can get close and use all your tools, your super heals, your rapid reloads, your smokes. It does thrive in those situations. So, yeah, those are probably the most fun times in Prince of Wales, and that's kind of like the whole Prince of Wales thing, is that it's kind of able to just take 1v1 engagements very, very well. Obviously, the ship is full of gimmicks, absolutely full of gimmicks everywhere. But if you really take a moment to think about it, it really is just an excellent battleship at just being able to take these one-on-one fights. You're not a standard battleship where, you know, you're gonna sit in the back, sniping max range. You know, you don't have the range. You don't even have 14 kilometers range. You're not like a German brawler where you use secondaries. You're just a really nice, you know, DPM BB with your rapid reload. And you have the ability to sustain these fights with your super heals and smokes. That it ends up just being a really nice package of a ship. It's a nice cruiser hunter as well. I don't want to say hunter. Cruiser, like, I guess smasher, because you have such good concealment and smokes and rapid reloads that you can actually, like, you know, fast reload with fast base reload, so you can also, like, you know, get some probably nice salvos in some of these cruisers. That was just a whiff on my part. But yeah, it was a fun ship. I have one more game to show. It won't be as high damage as this game, just because I don't live as long. But you can just see we have so much health left still. Granted, we weren't getting shot at by everybody, so that, you know, if you get shot by everybody, it will kind of suck in this ship. You're still KGB. That was another nice salvo on the Ignacio Allende. And you can see the dispersion with dispersion mod is pretty solid. Now, Is it the best battleship at tier 8? No. Is it fun? It is pretty fun. If you really do enjoy this more mid to close range kind of gameplay, you know, using more tools, and you want something unique, because this ship is unique. Definitely unique. Then yeah, Prince of Wales is definitely a nice option. So yeah, that was the survivability build. Now we're gonna move on to the more damaged focus build, the greed build, as I like to call it. And here we are with the next game. Not as many battleships in this game, obviously. And we're in Haunted Seas, so another Halloween themed map, I guess. We spawn on the A side, so the BB side. Now, I won't lie, there were mistakes in this game for my part. Looking back on it. However, I wanted to include it, even though it wasn't 100k damage, just so you can kind of get an idea of, you know, the DPM build of this ship, I guess. Specifically the AR plus, more so than the extra rapid reload. So we're gonna push into A. As you can see, we have the Ripper reloads. We're gonna have AR plus. With a ratio Nelson, will actually even better dispersion than with just normal artillery maintenance experts. So that's also nice. So yeah, really just building in on these guns. They're both probably good builds for this ship. One really focuses more on the gun aspects. The other one focuses more on, like, you know, just kind of living throughout the game, having solid guns still, but not focusing on that damage as much. So might really just come down to personal preference, like I said earlier. So it's a Bayard, and there's a Vittorio Veneto and a Nelson. So we're gonna push in. We have 2 Italian bouncers with us. I mean, there's a lot of Vittorio Venetos because of the challenge right now. The Blitz challenge for it right now, but that is okay because Vittorio Veneto is not a broken battleship at tier 8. So it can be dealt with. So we're kind of just pushing in. We have like no GDs on this side, and our cruiser, I actually don't know what our cruiser is doing, to be honest. We're gonna start shooting this Nelson. Not the best dispersion, but that's a pretty nice salvo. 11k. I mean, again, it is a Nelson, so nothing like, you know, super. It's not like a Blatty that we were just fighting the other game, where Odin, which honestly probably has even better armor than Nelson. So not like the most armored also that I have. Rest in peace, sword shows. Still did good damage. But yeah, you just get the guns on, especially on lighter battleships, they really do suffer against these guns. They can really put in some work. So he's gonna have to reload on this. Like, look at that dispersion. Oh my goodness. I probably could have aimed a little better there, but like that was nice dispersion to begin with. So now we're just using our DPM. I do notice the Bayard out wide. I think I noticed. Well, I think I might zoom out any moment now. A double Citadel. With these guns, I see him out there. Double Citadel. Yeah, the pen is just, again, normal APCS, no AP camo involved. It's just normal APCS. The guns perform pretty well. It's probably at this point that I should turn around to like shoot the Bayard to like ward him off a bit, because he does kind of farm me out for the rest of the game. So that is a mistake on my part. But in any case, we're gonna keep farming away. I mean, 42k already. It's not like crazy damage, but it's not too bad either. Do some more damage to that guy. I'm still holding my heals because I want to, you know, because I'm running AR. I actually do want to hold my heals, my super heals in this one. Again, the Bayard is just kind of like lighting me a flame. I think I actually aimed too high, but again, the shell velocity dispersion is just way nicer than yeah, I aimed too. I didn't aim low. It's just way better than what you have on KGV, and it's honestly pretty comfy to play. Now in this situation, it actually probably would have lived if I had crawling, like, you know, Mistweaver. My smoke would have already almost been off cooldown because you'd be removing in 30 seconds, so I probably could have gone to my crawling smoke. Which probably would have saved me from the next Nelson salvo. Maybe not Vittorio Veneto salvo, but probably from the next Nelson salvo.
Target hit. The situation is under control.
Yeah. In any case, we do some more good damage. What a salvo we got there.
Hit the enemy.
I damage controlled in the end because I didn't really want to get what's it called? Damn, set on fire, but we died because we don't have any smokes, we don't have any heals. I thought I could get away because Nelson would shoot somebody else. Unfortunately, Vittorio Veneto popped out the rock and shot me, so it was over anyways. So yeah, if I had a healing build, I probably would have lived there, but it is what it is. 89k still, 3 minutes left. So you can see the damage potential does really rack up once you get to that AR plus. extra rapid reloads. You can really start putting in the DPM on these people. So yeah, Prince of Wales, is it worth it? Honestly, as a Let's Play ship, if you like battleships and you want something really unique, Prince of Wales is pretty good. I would probably recommend it for people if they want to get it. Um, it's a fabulous battleship for just duking it out one on one with other battleships, and it's just again very unique from what we've seen. A ton of gimmicks. Should be renamed the Prince of Wales with an H because this is for the whales who want to have all the gimmicks on their tier 8 battleships. But no, yes, on a serious note though, yeah, I do think it is worth it if you enjoy battleships and you want something a bit different from the usual norm of tier 8 battleships, just being blatantly overpowered battleships that were just sniping ships or Atlantico. So yeah, that'll be it for me on the Prince of Wales, and I'll see you guys next time.